everybody. Welcome back to the LTL True Crime Podcast. It is November 16th, 2023, and we're hanging out here on this Thursday evening, waiting for our weekend, right? Everybody's ready for the weekend. Is that how that song goes? I haven't heard that in forever. I might have got that wrong. But I want to welcome everybody in to live show. See the mods, the chat's hanging out. Chat will grow as we go on here. Not a problem. I know last night was pretty intense. We had a large crowd in there. And I'll tell you, I mean, that stream took a lot out of me. I've been pretty tired today. But I thought that we would come in today at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We had NewsNation do a new updated report on Chelsea Grimm's case. And if you didn't get to watch that stream, you can go back and watch it. I kind of reacted to it, and maybe a little overboard, but it was essentially, I guess, fun given the subject. But what I wanted to do tonight was go back and look at Brian Enton, because the stream today at 1 was with Brian Enton. I wanted to go back. He had done a kind of like a audio podcast a couple of weeks ago and talked about Chelsea Grimm. And I wanted to go back and kind of compare the two different episodes, because I'll be honest with you, I was a little disappointed. I have to say I was a little disappointed, and I'm not shitting on Brian Enton because I think Brian Enton is great. He's obviously a inspiration to me, and it just felt really like lazy reporting. It felt like they were just regurgitating the first story that was put out there. They got a lot of information wrong, and I was really disappointed. It could have been covered better. It felt like it was just, again, throw it together really quick. Let's throw it out there. Let's get this out there and start talking about it. And I just hope that it's not like this little spot and then it's going to go another 4 or 5 weeks and they're not going to say anything, and then they're going to come back and there's not going to be any new information. And even Brian said in his reporting this afternoon that like he's watched some of the sleuthers out there and what they're saying. And I would just kind of think, like, if you're watching them, you could probably pick up a few things as to what's going on in this case, especially knowing now that like the legal document is up there. Like, I've put the police report out there, and I'm just really surprised that they don't even have like, according to the police report, or the police report says this. I mean, there's none of that today. So I was very I don't know. I was just kind of like disappointed. I think my expectations were a lot higher, considering what, we've done here over the last 30 days and kind of carried this story into the ether from what I can see. I mean, there's really no one else talking about this. And again, I'm going to keep beating the drum. I will keep tweeting at NewsNation. I will keep putting things out there on Twitter. I will keep trying to get this out into the public eye until Chelsea comes home. So my friends, what we're going to do tonight is we are going to go back and review. And what I want to do is we're going to do like a little fact checker on the screen. When I feel like there's some wrong information or they got something wrong, I'm going to kind of flash this. If I feel like something is right, I'm going to flash the green check mark. And, we can have a little bit of fun with that. But what I want to do first is go back and we'll look at 2 weeks ago, Brian Enton. It's about a 20-minute segment. Now let's really listen. That's what I want everybody to do. I want everybody to really listen, and then we'll compare it to the newest updated story today. And I think that will give us some, compare and contrast. And I'll stop it and just say wrong, or I'll stop it and just say right. And, if you want to keep your scorecard going too, I encourage you, get a piece of paper, put a W on that piece of paper, put a C on that piece of paper. So W for wrong, C for correct. And maybe at the end, like you guys can email me in your scorecards or something, like Chelsea Grimm, scorecard, and we'll score the national media. We'll give them a rating score at the end. So, all right, let's do this. We'll pull this up. Like I said, Brian Enton from 2 weeks ago, and we'll go through this. There's no video. So I don't think there's video. I haven't watched this in a while. Yeah, it's just mainly audio, and I think they might throw some small video clips in, but I can't remember. But I know that the new one was video. So let's do this. Let's play through it. We'll sit back. We have about 20 minutes or so. Hang out, put our thinking caps on, put our listening ears on. Let's listen to Brian's reporting. I'm not going to do the scorecard here. We'll do it on the second part because we're going to compare. Okay. So I welcome everybody into the chat. Thank you for all being here. And let's keep moving through. All right, here we go. Brian Enton.
Today's podcast on the Chelsea Grimm case. She is a missing young woman. She was driving from California to Connecticut to go to a wedding, driving across the country. She actually had a beard. She had a bearded dragon pet, which is why she didn't want to fly. And she went missing in Arizona. Really tragic situation. I interviewed her parents and the private investigator working the case. I was on Banfield earlier this week and did the interviews, but I wanted to play them again for you guys because I just think it's a really important case for people to pay attention to. Not getting a lot of coverage. Take a listen.
She left her home in San Diego on September 24th, headed for a wedding in Connecticut. She was traveling alone, with the exception of her pet bearded dragon. Remember that, the pet bearded dragon, because that sort of comes into play with this whole thing. 3 days into the trip, she met up with a friend in Phoenix, Arizona. That same day, she called her parents to say the drive was taking longer than she thought, and she planned to skip the wedding and head back to San Diego. She didn't realize just how long the drive was going to be, her mom told me. That was the last time her parents actually heard from her. But it wasn't the last time Grimm was seen altogether. That night, she was spotted at a hotel in Seligman, Arizona. A witness says she seemed disoriented, that she was actually trying to use euros instead of U.S. currency. On September 28th, a police officer responding to a report of a woman acting suspiciously found Grimm in her car at a cemetery, and that was in Williams, Arizona. She told him that she was working on a photography project about missing soldiers and that she had gotten emotional. She told the officer she planned to camp in her car that night. I want to show you this. Here is some of the conversation. It was recorded on the officer's body cam.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing great. Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I just was doing a photo shoot of the lost soldiers and got a little emotional, so I was crying before I got back on the road. I was actually thinking of just camping for the night, but I wasn't really sure exactly yet.
Gotcha. Well,
I didn't plan to be here till sunset.
Okay. Just hang out here however long you want. You're good to go.
Awesome.
Okay, so 2 days later, on September 30th, a woodcutter saw Grimm camping in her SUV, and that was near Ashfork, Arizona.
I mean, just hearing already, it's very, very similar to the update that they gave this afternoon. So let's keep listening.
He said she seemed okay. On October 4th, Grimm's parents reported her missing. The next day, October 5th, hunters found Grimm's SUV. It was abandoned. It was in the middle of a dirt road, and that was also outside Ashfork, Arizona, where she had spoken again to that woodcutter. That was 5 days earlier. This is what's very strange. Both tires on the right side of the SUV, they were flat. Her cell phone, her wallet, clothing, and sleeping bag were not in the car. And again, this is important. Neither was her pet bearded dragon, who she had gotten pretty recently. We're going to hear more about that in a second. Earlier today, I spoke with Chelsea's parents, Janet and Stephen Grimm. Here's some of that conversation. Can you talk to us a little bit about her itinerary? Was her plan to drive all the way from California to Connecticut? Was it sort of like a road trip she was looking forward to?
Actually, she was originally going to fly, but because she had recently acquired a bearded dragon as a pet, and the airlines wouldn't let her take that animal on the plane. So the day that she was supposed to fly east for this wedding, she called and said, I'm going to drive across the country. And she said, I've packed my car, I have my tent, I have my sleeping bag.
They all have.
I might spend a couple nights in a hotel.
All in the police report. Every single one of those people you've mentioned have been extensively interviewed. If you haven't seen the police report, you can watch this right here. And you can pause the file at your leisure and read the entire 55-page police report. We've been doing the deep dive. I don't know if you're new here. I see your name looks new, but we've done a huge deep dive. I don't know. I don't know why the press hasn't, but we're the press. We're independent media. I'm the press right here. I'm reporting on it. So come hang here if you want to hear a deep dive into this case and you want to get the facts straight. You know, we've been doing that since October 14th. We have been doing it. So come hang out with us. When you see Chelsea Grimm streams pop up, come over here. All right, we'll keep playing through.
In my camp, I'm going to sort of see how it goes. And 3 days later, I mean, we talked to her in between, but 3 days later, she said, I'm only as far as Arizona. I just don't think I can do this by myself, which we had tried to explain in the beginning. But she said, so I think I'm going to just skip the wedding and stay here for a couple of days and do a little camping. And then, you know, she made it sound like she was going to head back to San Diego.
Saw the picture of the bearded dragon. Did she have an adventurous spirit? I'm just thinking, like, that's a long drive, and the camping was it out of the ordinary for her to sort of be spontaneous?
I'd say yes and no. She was spontaneous. She changed plans a lot. This wasn't the first time she ever changed a plan, for sure. The magnitude of this adventure, quote unquote, of driving across the country, was a lot, even for Chelsea. And we said we thought that was too much. And if she wanted, we'd help her fly from Phoenix home, or, she
really
had a friend in Phoenix that she could leave her car with.
It was really, really close. And if anybody didn't watch that stream, I'll get that for you too. I did a timeline on my own, just through my own research before I got the actual police report. And that was really, really successful. I'll pull that up. And I was very proud of that stream. It was a good stream. And that stream is right there. If you want to go back and watch it, if you haven't seen the replay, I would appreciate it. All right, let's keep playing.
We gave her,
and Chelsea,
a bunch of options.
Gary, I get your message. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
But she seemed intent on this once she had chosen it.
What made you report her missing? Like, when did you start to get the feeling that something was wrong?
All I can say about this is that there was some trouble in and around her neighborhood. I can just say that. It's trouble in and around her neighborhood. I'm not going to point out particular people that she had issues with, but it was in and around her neighborhood. And I think it's just completely unrelated to this case. A bunch of just probably jerk kids fighting. That's the way I see it. So, and then you have someone that is a now ex-boyfriend that is in a allegedly drug-induced psychosis. I think it's pretty evident that we've kind of gone through those areas and found out that, there's some stuff that was going on, if you know what I mean. And we found out last night that the reason that Chelsea wanted to go off the grid was she said it at that hotel in the video that we released last night, that she is hiding from an ex-boyfriend. She came out of an abusive relationship and that she didn't want to be tracked by him. So, it's a very interesting story. And there's so many angles and so many different directions. And I said to Steve, I think I might have said it last night on our live, every time you feel like you're going in the right direction, something gets spun out of control and you can't figure it out. I was holding on to that lead on 10-6 at the restaurant in Phoenix. I was holding on to that. And then I finally got a hold of the business owner and she said, yeah, it wasn't her. It was a different lady. And they came back and we verified. And my heart just sank because that's really what I was holding on to, that possibly there was a sighting on 10-6 at that restaurant in Phoenix. And she said, the detectives haven't even called me. They haven't even followed up. And I'm like, man, no one is looking for this girl, but we're looking for her. All right, let's play through probably about another 14 minutes or so. And then we're going to go to the newest NewsNation update. And then we'll do our little scorecard.
Well, we last talked to Chelsea on the 27th.
We were 2 months.
In the afternoon. And she said, I'm going to camp for a couple of days. And so I'm going to be probably where I'm not going to have cell service. And so for a couple of days, we didn't even think about it again because she was she had told us she would be offline, and we knew she was in in Arizona, where there are spots where it's not particularly good for communication. So it was after a couple more days after that we started thinking, this is too long for a camping trip, and she should be back. She should be somewhere where she can get in touch. And so,
I just wanted to do this too, if I haven't already. We are broadcasting on 3 platforms tonight. Actually, I'm going to put it out there for a 4th. We'll add Facebook into it. So 4 platforms tonight. We're here on the home-based LTL True Crime Podcast. I have it streaming over on my second channel, LTL True Crime Podcast Rewind. So hello to everybody over there. I see 2 people over there. So hello. We're on Twitch, we're on Twitter, and Facebook. So welcome in, everybody. If you're not subscribed over to the main channel, come over here, LTL True Crime Podcast. Join the chat. We have quite a few people in here right now. We're hanging out. If you want to bounce over here and leave the second channel, you can. We'd love to see you over here. Make sure you're subscribed over here to the home base, too. All right, let's keep playing through.
On the 4th of October, we reported her missing, and on the 5th, they found her car in Arizona.
He had met up with a friend in Phoenix, I believe. Have you talked to that person? Were they able to give any information about sort of her state of mind or what was going on?
Yes, actually, our other daughter talked to her at great length, and she shared a couple of emails.
I don't know. It's a good question. I really don't know. I want to get her on. I spoke with the business owner. I was going to reach out to her today, but I want to give them their weekend because I know that they get busy Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for their business. Let me give it a couple of days, and I'm going to reach back out to them. She said she will come on the show. They have no problem doing that. I said, hey, if you come on the show, I wanted to let you know. In our conversation, I told her, I did not dox your business. I didn't say the name of your business, but if you want to come on, free advertising, put your business out there, that's fine. I just didn't want people bothering them and coming at them until everything was verified. So I know that the business owner does want to come on. It's just a matter of me reaching out, collaborating a time, because they're a little bit behind me here on the East Coast in time, and they run a business. So they run a restaurant, and it's whenever they get the free time. So I will follow up. And I can't make them come on. If they want to come on, I would love for them to come on. If you're watching, business owner, I'm not going to say your name, but if you're watching, you want to come on, please, I'd love to have you over here and just reach back out to me. If not, I'll give it a couple of days and reach out to you, and maybe we can coordinate something. So, but it's a great question. Let's see, the call with Ellie, you posted, he specifically asked, yeah, I know. And I understand that. And that's why we need to get down to the bottom of the line of it. I will have them on. I cannot answer for them. I would let them to come on and tell their story. And she said she's willing to do that. So let's give it a couple of days. Their busy time is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think they close the restaurant from Monday through Wednesday. So I'll reach out at some point and try to get them on. Again, I can't make them come on, but I did indeed have a conversation the other day, about 20 minutes. They were very, very nice. Very, very nice, and really eager to explain everything. And she was like really disappointed. She said, I'm kind of disappointed. Like, the police haven't called back or come by to follow up anything. She said, I figured they would by now. And she said, you and only one other person reached out, and it was a small media organization, I think she said, and that's it. So, but we'll keep beating the drum. Yeah. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for hanging out tonight. All right, let's keep playing.
She said that they gotten together, and they had a nice visit at her house, and Chelsea and she were going to brunch the next day, but the next day when it got closer to time for brunch, Chelsea said, I need to go change plans. So she did, with this other friend.
Did the friend have any information about like any reason to be concerned, or did it just seem like a normal hangout?
Yeah. Not particularly. Yeah, no alarm bells or anything.
Absolutely.
I mean, she says they had a nice visit, and she was looking forward to seeing her the next day. So can't really explain that any better.
No, she said she was doing a photo project, I think in a cemetery, when she interacted with that police officer. Do you know anything more about that? Was she, you know, a photographer? Can you shed light on that a little bit?
Well, she did photography a lot, and she also did paintings, rendered art, to supplement her income, whatever her income was. And so it's not at all unusual for her to have been doing a story or a photojournalist story for some, you know, whatever publication. So that's not unusual. Being in the cemetery is, you know, I guess if you're doing a story on lost soldiers, that maybe that's a good place to look.
I think she also had a strong affinity to her grandfather, Janet's dad, who was a World War II veteran. And perhaps that was a draw to the veterans there.
I believe.
Have you been able to?
I think SJ is Corey, right? SJ, are you Corey? I think you are. Let me know if you're Corey, because I gotta kind of update you on something. I think you're Corey. Let me know. Is that you? Yes, you. Are you Corey? Because you said Kansas, and I have another person that watches from Kansas. But if you are who I think you are, who's the one that won the wallet? Did you win the wallet? You won the wallet, right? I think you did last time when I did the prize giveaway. It's on its way. It actually should have gotten there by now. You're not okay. Wrong person. I thought it was SJ Howard. But anyway. Oh, I know who it is. I remember the avatar now. Okay, we'll move on. That.
See that body camera video? I think
No
it was
problem.
on.
Sorry.
Did anything seem out of the ordinary, or did she just, I mean, you obviously know her better than anyone. Did she seem like herself in the video?
Couldn't see much of her. We just heard her voice. That sounded like it was definitely her, in my opinion. No, it didn't seem, out of the ordinary. And one thing that seemed very in the ordinary or in character was how I think she said, "I appreciate your compassion," or something like that. That sounded 110% like Chelsea. She's a very compassionate, empathetic person, kind of an artist at heart, and that sounded just like her.
She had an interaction with a woodcutter also. Have you been able to get any more information about that?
I know the authorities had talked to him, or I believe it's a male. We don't have anything particularly noteworthy to add on that, except he thought she did not seem, in distress or in need. He actually went back some short time later to make sure she didn't want help, and she again a second time declined his help. So his conclusion was that she was in pretty good shape, not worrisome.
It sounds like the bearded dragon was important to her, obviously, if she was going to drive across the country and not fly. The bearded dragon was not found with the car. Does that make you think that she went somewhere and took the pet with her? I mean, is that sort of a good sign to you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Chelsea has always had special spot in her heart for children, elderly people, and animals, and she would never leave an animal in a car. She just wouldn't do it. So I think that is a hopeful sign. I also think that the chances of people recognizing Chelsea are at least sort of connecting the dots. If they see somebody with a bearded dragon, they're going to take an extra look at that person, because it's unusual to be carrying around a bearded dragon, usually on her shoulder.
It would definitely stand out. So that's a good thing for people to look out for.
Right. She also had a very distinctive tattoo on her left arm, which was a vine with leaves on it that sort of wrapped all the way around her lower arm. So another visual clue.
Have police given you any other information? I mean, is there anything else people watching this should be on the lookout for in a certain area, or are there any other tidbits that they've been able to give you?
I wish there were. There is a chance she got a ride out of there. She seemed to have left that car of her own volition in an organized way. It was locked. She had taken her wallet and we think her phone and her sleeping bag, among other things, along with the bearded dragon. So the reason I mention that is the area of possibilities where she could be.
That's what they say. She took her keys, her wallet, the dragon, her purse. I'm not sure about the sleeping bag, but we do know that there was a tent that was left inside the car. So, John, if you haven't read it yet, I do have the full police report. It is on my channel. And if you just look, it says full scrolling police report. It's about a 31-minute video. And you can actually pause the screen and just read through the report if you are interested in that. It's a mind-boggling police report. And when I say we, Carrie's my assistant, we're working on trying to get the updated file, because the file that we have is only updated through 10/20. That's the latest date that I can find on it. And obviously we're a month past that. We're also trying to get the file from Flagstaff because they have a parallel investigation, or had a parallel investigation going as well. It's all kind of lumped into one thing. So we'll see what happens. You know, we're trying to do our best to reach out. And we also have some other case footage that we're trying to work on, another case that we're following. So we're doing our best. All right, we'll keep playing through here. Thanks for being here, everybody. Make sure to smash the like button. We only have 24 likes and there's 54 people in here. Come on, people. Let's smash the like button. Smash that like button. I would appreciate it.
It's pretty wide. It's a wide net. So, you know, surrounding states have been notified, not just Arizona. The surrounding states, the authorities in Coconino County have been terrific in helping get the word out. And so even if you're, you know, several hours away from there as a viewer and you've seen something that you think might be any kind of tip, we would be forever grateful if that's an important clue. Time is of the essence. And so anything that leads to progress would be awesome.
Gosh, you really have to feel for those parents and what they're going through right now. And Janet and Stephen, they have hired a private investigator to help them with the search for their daughter. And Kelly Townsend joins me now on the phone. Kelly, it's a strange case. Hard to wrap my mind around. I was trying to go over all the details today and the timeline and the fact that the car was found and that she's missing with the bearded dragon. Have you been able to piece anything together yet? I mean, do you think that she is likely still in Arizona at this point?
Well, that's very difficult to tell right now. I mean, the circumstances, you're right. They are bizarre. You know, I mean, and the body cam.
The person that's talking right now is Kelly Townsend. He is the lead private investigator that's still currently on this case. Let's listen to Kelly.
Video of the law enforcement officer talking to her. I just recently my agency's just recently been brought on, but I have an interest in, he recommended for her to go to Love's, and I'm working with Coconino law enforcement right now and trying to find out, has anybody gone there to check out the CCTV, because if she actually followed the officer's advice and was camping there or just sleeping in her car there, did she get approached? And I know the Love's, those Love's gas stations, I guess, truck driver stations, they have places where people can sleep. Truck drivers do it all the time, you know, showers and stuff like that. So I'm right now, we're just trying to gather as much information as we can. Coconino County Sheriff's Department has been outstanding working with us. Some law enforcement departments, they don't work with you just because you're a private investigator. But because I'm interested, because there was 2 flat tires. It was out on a dirt road. How far was the body cam video where she was talked to by the police there to where the car was found? You know, I mean, because did somebody interact with her and then they drove down that road? I mean, we're all assuming at this point right now because nobody really knows for sure except God. So you know, I mean, that's where we are right now. We have had some interesting things come to light just as of today. Matter of fact, just a few hours ago, that we're working on that could really generate stuff that we're probably going to want to get out on the news if it comes to fruition, because we may have something that we want the world to look out for.
Yeah, I would imagine when you start asking questions and like you said, around that gas station, first of all, the thought of a young woman sleeping alone with just a bearded dragon in a gas station parking lot makes me a little nervous. Can you share a little more about what you've discovered in the last couple of hours, or give us
I really can't at this point. I really can't because number one, we have to verify. Number two, we have to interview, and these people literally just came up on the radar today, and so we're trying to get interviews set up and composite sketches and things like
that. I'm gonna refrain from talking, but I'm gonna do this. Yeah, yeah. I can't.
Yeah.
The tidbit about her trying to use, I think it was like euros instead of dollars, and possibly being disoriented. Do you know anything more about that? Because her parents, told me, she was an artist. It wasn't odd for her to be in the cemetery taking pictures as part of her art project. It just seems strange to me that there was that one account that maybe she was like disoriented at one point.
Yeah, right now I can't say that I would verify that with you right now. I mean, I thought it was a little odd where she was crying, but she, the law enforcement officer walked up to her and she was crying, and he asked her, and she said it's because she just took pictures at the graveyard and she was weeping for the soldiers. I don't know. I've never personally met Chelsea, but she seems like a nice heart, a very compassionate girl. Why but was she actually crying and just saying that to law enforcement? You follow what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, or perhaps she was moved by the art project she was working on. We'll stay in touch with you, Kelly. We want to stay on this story, and I'm glad that you're involved. And I feel for those parents. I just want to put out the phone number. Anyone with information, you can contact the sheriff's office there. The number is 928-774-4523. Hopefully, we will have some good news to report.
So again, if anyone has information, you can call the sheriff's office there in Arizona. The number is 928-774-4523. And I hope everybody has a good week. I got to go to bed at like super early tonight because I'm doing the morning show again tomorrow. So
okay, that was reporting back from Brian Enton 2 weeks ago on October 31st, 2023. So Halloween. But we're gonna play the stream that I basically lost my shit on today because again, I don't want to criticize. I guess I can criticize. I'm a little upset. I felt like this was really lazy reporting. And what I wanted you all to do was listen 2 weeks ago, it was reported, and then compare it to today. And we'll do a little scorecard. And again, I'm going to go through when they're doing, if there's false information, you're going to see the red X. If I feel like it's good information, you're going to see the green arrow. So let's give this a try. But I was out of my skin today when we did this live. I was literally jumping up out of my chair, spinning in my room, just couldn't believe what I'm hearing. I'm like, you're so far behind. It just feels like some quick producer in the newsroom threw this together and got it out there, and let's just go off what we had. So that's just my opinion. Again, I'm not, listen, I like Brian Enton a lot. I'm sure that he's not the lead person that makes this story. There's producers, there's people that put this material together and they just go, and they read from his script. So again, we'll talk about it. I'm going to give you the wrongs and rights, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's go. Let's hear it. I'm going to probably speed this up a little bit just so we don't get all that 5 minutes of lag. All right, here we go. Let's do it.
I'm Marnie Hughes, and this is Missing. Each week, we bring you a missing persons case from across the country.
I can say this is I'm glad that they're getting it back out into the ether. And if I look right now, as we look, there's almost 4,000 views. There's almost 37,000 views on this. And of course, I dropped a comment. I'm going to be a little selfish, and I'm not going to be, listen, I'll put it out there. I dropped a comment and I said, look, I've been investigating, reporting on Chelsea's case since October 14, 2023. I have all body cam footage, full case file, and have done multiple interviews with people involved. I have the most up-to-date information. Come check it out. So I wanted to get that out there and just let people know, because they are behind on this case, in my opinion. I was really disappointed. I think my expectations were a lot higher. Okay, let's play.
Men and women, young and old, different races, backgrounds, and stories, all in the hopes of finding them, uncovering clues, and helping families and friends get answers and closure. This week, we have some new clues in the disappearance of a young woman who vanished while on a cross-country adventure. It's been nearly 2 months since Chelsea Grimm set off from California on a road trip heading to the East Coast. Chelsea was on her way to a friend's wedding, and at one point she called her parents saying that she was instead going to head home. And that's when the trail goes cold. Chelsea Grimm set off from San Diego on a cross-country road trip on September 24th. She was going to a wedding in Connecticut. Working as an artist and photographer, Chelsea planned to document her 2,800-mile road trip through photos.
She was spontaneous.
There's no indication of that. There's no indication that she said, or anywhere written, she said that she was documenting this. She just took a lot of photos along the way. She took almost 400 of them when she got into Arizona. It doesn't mean that she was documenting this. So, I mean, there's no indication. There's nowhere written that even said that she was going to do this project. So I don't know why they keep saying that. I mean, not that it's like a huge detail, but I don't know. It just doesn't, there's no indication that it said that. She just took a lot of photos when she got into Arizona. I don't know.
Change plans a lot.
Maybe it just adds the element to the story, for the national media. Oh, this photographer, it maybe adds the and I hate to say this, the sexiness to the story. Oh, she's this photographer. Maybe they're saying stuff like that. I don't know. I don't get it. There's no indication,
quote unquote, of driving across the country.
In my opinion,
was a lot, even for Chelsea.
Chelsea had first planned on flying to Connecticut, but decided to drive to accommodate her new pet bearded dragon, Roz. 3 days into the trip, her parents said she called and said she didn't think she could do the trip by herself and was going to camp for a few days instead before coming home. She arrived in Phoenix and met up with her sister as well as a friend.
That is wrong.
She was supposed.
That is so wrong. That is so wrong. That needs a correction. That is not even close. That is a dead wrong piece of information that they have put into this story. She never met with her sister. That needs to be corrected. That's terrible investigation work. That's terrible. It's just a terrible presentation to put that in there. She never met with her sister. That needs to be retracted. Because that's incorrect. She met with a friend, but she did not meet with her sister. This was really disappointing today. Very lazy journalism.
Supposed to meet that same friend for lunch the next day, but canceled, arriving in Williams, Arizona instead. Chelsea was parked near a graveyard and war memorial when she was stopped by a police officer responding to a call.
You doing all right?
Yeah, I just was doing a photo shoot of the lost soldiers and got a little emotional, so I was crying before I got back on the road. I was actually thinking of just camping for the night, but I wasn't really sure exactly yet.
Gotcha. Well,
I didn't plan to be here till sunset.
Okay, just hang out here however long you want. You're good to go.
Her parents said Chelsea's response in that call did not seem out of the ordinary.
One thing that seemed very in the ordinary or in character was how I think she said, "I appreciate your compassion," or something like that. That sounded 110% like Chelsea.
The officer in that stop
I
suggested
mean, they're essentially using what we just heard on the broadcast 2 weeks ago. So where is this new information? I don't even think they even indicate in this presentation that this is the new information.
safe places for Chelsea to camp for the night. She was spotted again by a woodcutter on September 30th, camping in her car near Ashfork, Arizona. Chelsea had told her parents she may not have phone service while she was camping, but after not hearing from her for several days, her parents reported her missing on October 4th. Just one day later, her SUV, a white Ford Focus, was found abandoned on the side of the road with 2 flat tires.
She seemed to have left that car of her own volition in an organized way. It was locked. She had taken her wallet and we think her phone and her sleeping bag, among other things, along with the bearded dragon.
Authorities have notified police in other states to be on the lookout for Chelsea. Her family's also hired a private investigator.
There was 2 flat tires, was out on a dirt road. How far was the body cam video where she was talked to by the police there to where the car was found? Did somebody interact with her and then they drove down that road?
Her parents telling NewsNation's Brian Enton they were hanging on to hope that someone would recognize her with her pet dragon.
The chances of people recognizing Chelsea are at least sort of connecting the dots. If they see somebody with a bearded dragon, they're going to take an extra look at that person.
And as we cover this case, now is the opportunity that if you have questions or comments, I encourage you to post them and we'll do our best to.
It doesn't make me doubt the reporting. It makes me doubt the people that are involved. Like, I think the police did an extremely thorough investigation. I think we got the straight and skinny from Steve last night. Very believable, very credible. I mean, matches up with everything that I've looked at, everything in the police report. The people that have no fucking clue, in my opinion, right now, and I'm going to be very honest because I'm upset, is one, NewsNation shouldn't be doing this story right now. They should be doing a little bit more or a lot more research on this before they put this piece of junk together. Okay. And poor Brian Enton is caught up in this now because they're just looking for a correspondent to talk about it. So they probably passed him some notes or had him look back at what he was talking about 2 weeks ago. They're regurgitating the same thing 2 weeks ago, but they're inserting that she met with her sister. She never met with her sister. Okay. The other person that I think has any clue that's going on here, and you know what? I'm probably going to publicly trash him a little bit, in my opinion. Okay. Is allegedly Kelly Townsend has no idea where he is in this investigation. He's all over the place. Every time they've used voice clips of him or video clips of him in any of these interviews, he is like 2 months behind in this. And also, I'm very disappointed that her parents haven't said anything. Her parents haven't gone out there to even look for her. There's no transparency. So what is going on? I mean, you have local search teams that we believe are still out there looking every day out of the kindness of their hearts. The ranch owners are finally, are looking out. Doesn't seem like the police are looking for her anymore. Not that I can tell. So I'm disappointed. I mean, what is going on? And why is it all this crap reporting around this? Let's get the thing straight here. Let's start asking and talking to people that know what's going on. This is very disappointing, extremely disappointing. And I'm sorry. I had to throw some things out there. You get an ex-boyfriend that's not being transparent, that may be able to fill in some gaps prior and to around when she disappeared. Maybe he has some information. He's not even cooperating. Now, I'm not indicating that he did anything because it's been verified in the police report that he was back in San Diego at the time of her disappearance. We know that. But if he has any information that could help, what was her state of mind? What was her physical being? What are some of the things that she talked about to you before she left? What was said during those phone conversations that you had a couple of days with her before she went missing? What was her mood? You know, did you know if she had any US money on her? What was her credit card situation? You know, that's all important things that can help in this. You know, and what we're getting is apparently there's 9 million people that walk around in Arizona with bearded dragons on their shoulders. So what is going on? You know, what is going on?
Answer
Right, we'll
them.
keep
Joining
playing.
me now to talk more about Chelsea's disappearance, NewsNation senior national correspondent Brian Enton. Brian, good to see you. I was glad to see that you were covering this case. You spoke with Chelsea's parents. You spoke with the private investigator. This is a real mystery, and there's some peculiar clues, starting with the timeline of events. I mean, you've got a young woman who was adventurous, who was excited about this cross-country trip, and then she decided to turn around. What did you take away from your discussion with her parents as to what was happening with her in the days leading up to her disappearance?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Marnie. They didn't seem to express that she was having any kind of like mental health issues that they knew of. I think they felt like her trip, you know, the fact that she was going to drive all the way across the country when she told them that she wasn't able to fly because of the bearded dragon. And I think they thought that was like, oh, I don't know that that's such a good idea. It's kind of like, it's a long way. I don't think you realize what you're getting yourself into. And I don't think they were that surprised when she said she was going to turn around, because they told me they were sort of already thinking like, there's no way, it's just such a long drive. But there weren't really any red flags. I don't think that they noticed, at least that they told me before her disappearance. And that's one of the things that's so frustrating about this case, I think, is that there's really not that many clues. I mean, the car was found, the 2 flat tires, the fact that her cell phone and wallet were not there, I think is hopefully a good sign, because, you know, we've covered so many of these other kinds of stories where the cell phone and wallet are found, you know, with the car. And I don't know, that always strikes me as just, it makes me more worried, thinking like, who would leave their cell phone and wallet behind? So perhaps she did take off on her own with her wallet and maybe have some kind of mental health issue that her parents just weren't aware of. We really just don't know at this point.
Right. Yeah. You think if somebody has the wherewithal to take those important things that none of us leave home without, that they weren't taken, right? It wasn't some sort of altercation that she left them behind. I want to play another portion of your interview with the parents. This is Janet Grimm, Chelsea's mom, talking about sort of the timeline of events.
This is literally the same interview or reporting that they did 2 weeks ago. Where is the new information? They said, oh, we have breaking new information in this case. And we're 7 minutes in. We haven't heard anything. All we've actually heard is a lot of misinformation in this report.
Led them to report Chelsea missing. Let's play that.
It's kind of disappointing.
We last talked to Chelsea
Really
on the
disappointing.
27th in the afternoon, and she said, I'm going to camp for a couple of days, and so I'm going to be probably where I'm not going to have cell service. And so for a couple of days, we didn't even think about it again, because she had told us she would be offline, and we knew she was in in Arizona, where there are spots where it's not particularly well good for communication.
Just heard this.
So it was after a couple more days after that we started
seriously,
thinking,
Carrie,
this is too long for a camping
I
trip.
think you're right.
She should be back. She should be somewhere where she can get in touch. And so on the 4th of October, we reported her missing, and on the 5th, they found her car.
Brian, leading up to finding her car on the 5th, Chelsea met with a friend. I believe she met with a sister. What did her parents say about those encounters, those interactions with people that she knew in the area?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I asked about, was like, did her friend express any kind of, concern that she was acting weird? And the parents said no. And I asked to get in touch with the friend, and that never happened. It would have been nice to talk to the friend, one-on-one.
I know who it is.
But the parents said that the friend didn't have any concerns, didn't say that Chelsea was acting weird at all. The part of the story that I've also sort of thought is interesting, where they said that Chelsea, in the days leading up to her disappearance, tried to pay for something with euros instead of US dollars, again, just made me wonder if maybe, she was having some kind of mental health issue, like, you know.
No, I feel like this is getting spun into a mental health issue. And I feel like he has been told, and Brian's holding back, that we know the reasons in that hotel on that video, because we saw it last night. We know some of the reasons, and maybe mental health is playing a part of this, but there's other factors and reasons that are being left out in the national media. Why? Why? Why are we hiding that? We know. We heard it here last night on LTL. Steve played the video. We know the other reasons.
And maybe just wanted to go off the grid. It's now been quite a long time. I mean, you'd think she would have popped up by now, but
Yeah, Barry,
even though the parents said the friend didn't have any information that she was acting strange, I mean, there were some other reports of some kind of strange behavior.
Yeah. I've got a question here. This is from Flipside Fishin' on YouTube. Thank you for watching and for your question. Did they say what caused the flat tire? As you talked to the private investigator, do we know? And she had 2 flat tires.
No, they didn't say, just that it.
Do these people not read a police report? Do they not look in the area? Do they not look at photos? I mean, I'm going to lose my mind here tonight. Do you not look? I mean, come on. I mean, this is such lazy reporting, man. This is very lazy reporting.
It was 2 flat tires, and I'm just looking back at my notes. I think they were on the right side.
There's a
So it was 2
million
flat
photos
tires
out
on the
there
right
now. We
side.
put them out there.
The cell phone, wallet, and sleeping bag were gone. There are a couple of, or at least one other private investigator that's gotten involved in the case, from what I'm told, in addition to the one that I initially spoke to. And from what I've been told, the police have been giving information to the private investigators, information that isn't necessarily public. So it seems like the police are open to outsiders trying to help with the case. They've just released such minimal information to us. And the question about what caused the flat tires, they may know, but they haven't told us.
Yeah, well, it's a good sign they're working with private investigators. Oftentimes they don't. They'd like to go on their own. Good question from our viewer there. I have another question from Jay Ballou on YouTube. They're asking about phone pings and maybe she took a ride from someone. There's always digital evidence if she took her phone. Has that led to anything promising?
That's another really good question. I would imagine police have been looking into that. But again, it's not something that they've released to us or that the private investigators have said anything about.
Okay. The pet bearded dragon, I had to look these up just to remind myself what they look like. I mean, it's a big lizard. It's very colorful. Was this a new pet of hers? And this could be a major clue in spotting her, at least according to her parents.
But it's disappointing.
It was relatively new. I don't think she was
really disappointing. I felt it was very, very lazy journalism today. And I don't really get down on listen, I'm not going to put Brian Enton on this. It's again, it's probably some produced thing in NewsNation. They wrote it up. Here, Brian, here's your notes. We're going to do the story again. Can you talk about it? And they really haven't put the full work into this case. And, it's kind of sad to Chelsea that there could have been so much more information that was shared during this. I mean, they did 25 minutes on this. There could have been so much more information out there. Instead, we got a lot of misinformation, saying that she met up with her sister. That never happened, and that needs to be retracted. So I'm calling NewsNation on that. You need to retract that portion of this story. It's not even correct. It's false. So I don't even know where you got that from, because you need to check your source on that. It's completely wrong. And it's not even, there's no indication, even a police report that said she met with her sister. So where are you getting that from? Where are you getting that from?
Aware that she couldn't fly with the bearded dragon initially, which is why I think her plan was to fly, and then she switched to
they're just
driving.
spinning,
She didn't think she could fly with
thing.
the bearded dragon. It is an important clue because in addition to her wallet, car, and the sleeping bag and cell phone not being with the car, the bearded dragon was also not there. So if she did take off on her own, this bearded dragon was apparently very, very important to her. That's why she was driving across the country. It would make sense that she would take the bearded dragon with her. So if people think they may see her, I mean, you may spot like a bearded dragon on her shoulder, or she may be carrying the bearded dragon. And one thing that was interesting to me with this, Marnie, is when we first did the story, when I interviewed the parents, like a lot of people have bearded dragons, like especially on Twitter, like that really caught people's attention. And you know, I was happy to see that, because I think it's a part of the story that people are interested in. I think helped sort of push it along, you know, more eyeballs out there, hopefully.
Well, certainly. I mean, if you put somebody who looks like Chelsea together with this bearded dragon, this big lizard, I think it's going to be a major point for people to keep an eye out for. She also had a tattoo.
Hey, Casey, how are you?
Where was the?
It's a good question. I have to go back.
I'm going to eat my microphone tonight. How would you not know that? It is one of the most distinctive things about Chelsea. How would you not know that? That means that they haven't even looked at her Instagram. They haven't looked at nothing about this poor girl. Nothing about this poor girl. I'm going to give him a fail on that one. I don't know. I don't know what it is. You've got to be kidding me. It's the most distinctive thing besides that bearded dragon on Chelsea.
I can look. I don't. I know that. I think that's a picture of it there. You can see it on her wrist. I don't know exactly what it's of.
This is really, really, really lazy journalism. This is terrible, and I would be ashamed if I was the parents. I'd be calling and telling them to pull this story off. This is awful. This is awful reporting. It's awful reporting. It's terrible journalism, because that is a very distinctive. That is an extremely distinctive feature about Chelsea, is that vine tattoo on her arm. Come on, I expect better.
Okay.
But it's sort of on the inside part of her wrist, so that's something else that I guess Ivy, actually, I'm looking at your notes there.
Yeah, it looks
It
like
doesn't
a
even know.
vine
I'm
with
sorry,
ivy.
Brian, but
yeah, when leaves
Yeah.
kind of wrapped around her wrist.
kind of.
What about?
Yeah, so that's also something that people would hopefully notice.
Yeah, distinguishable. What about her past? I mean, was traveling cross country, road trips, camping something that she often did? What did her parents say about that?
I don't think she had been on a road trip to this extreme, but her parents did say that she was very, very adventurous. And so it wasn't like uncommon that she was going to camp out, or that she was kind of doing this, like, you know, that she sprung this on them, that she was going to drive with the bearded dragon. They said she had this adventurous spirit. And that's another reason. You know, initially they didn't report her missing right away, because they thought, well, she might be camping out in an area where there's no cell phone service. And we've seen this in other cases that we've covered. You know, it's like with young people, they go on these road trips, and, you know, the parents don't just automatically jump to conclusions that the worst has happened. I mean, you give it a little bit of time to see, you know, maybe she'll pop into cell range, shoot me a text. So they were not initially.
She's done a couple of retreats. If you look on her Instagram stories and go through it, I think 2 within the last 2 years. So she's been out to Arizona before. I mean, she's documented everything at her retreats. I mean, it's all in her Instagram story. I spent like 4 hours one day just literally looking through every single picture and video on her Instagram to see if I could find something. But I you know, the thing with the sister, that needs to be retracted and taken out. That's not even true, man. I don't even know where you got that from. Like, where the hell did that come from?
That worried. But then at some point they were like, you know, it's unlike her to go off the grid for this long. And then it was the next day that her SUV was found with the flat tires. So, you know, that's when they really, really got worried. And I really felt for those parents, just because I mean, you can imagine what they're going through. I mean, not knowing is just awful. And they're just hoping that she, you know, even though they don't suspect she was having any kind of mental health issues, they're hoping that she just, you know, took off on her own and is hiding out somewhere. You know, they don't want to think the worst in terms of like someone abducting her, or the possibility of her taking her own life, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no. And I think some of the things that she took with her gives, I would imagine, the family hope. And for all of the families of missing loved ones that we talk to on a regular basis, it's the not knowing, right, that is the worst. It's now been more than a month since they reported her missing. I want to play, Brian, a portion of that body cam video when she encountered the officer. This was near that cemetery where she was taking some photographs. Here's a part of that.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing great. Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I just was doing a photo shoot of the lost soldiers and got a little emotional, so I was crying before I got back on the road. I was actually thinking of just camping for the night, but I wasn't really sure exactly yet.
Gotcha.
I didn't plan to be here till sunset.
Okay. Just hang out here however
really
long
bad.
you want.
It's not good at all.
You're good to go.
Awesome.
It's a pretty non-eventful encounter right there, nothing out of the ordinary, but her parents watched that. What'd they tell you about that engagement with the officer?
Agreed with what you're saying. They didn't pick up on anything out of the ordinary. They said it sounded just like her. They actually sort of smiled and they told me, how polite she was with the officer, that and compassionate, that was like her personality to a T. So again, something that kind of frustrated them. It's like, here's another piece of video, a piece of information that came out, but it really, to them, didn't really lead to any clues about really what may have happened. It didn't strike them as odd at all, the way she was talking, or she didn't sound especially upset. It seemed just like her, they said.
It was also, it caught my attention, she encountered a woodcutter at some point, and this area of Arizona, it's sort of near, I'm looking at a map, Coconino County is north of Sedona, north of Prescott, pretty north of Phoenix. This woodcutter, I'm assuming that means like a lumberjack. I don't know what a woodcutter exactly is, but what was the encounter with this person? Who were they? Anything strange?
That's the spin. See, now they're trying to add the sex to the story. And I'm sorry to use that word in this case, but I think you understand what I'm saying. They're going to go, well, they have this is what I mean. This is what happens, what mainstream media does, is they find the characters to the story. You have the woodcutter and you have the hunter and you have the good cop. And could it have been, like I said, it's like playing Clue. Is it the woodcutter with the axe in the field? You know what I mean? So that's what they're going to try to do now. They're going to try to spin this out to make everybody go, I bet you it's that damn woodcutter. I'm telling you, it's that damn woodcutter. And I bet you, if we'll look at the comments after in this, I bet you there's some people in there that said, you got to look at that woodcutter, or the cop. The cop was too nice. You got to look at him.
Change about that for the family?
So it's actually not uncommon, I've learned, for like woodcutters to be working in that area. It is kind of like a lumberjack. And I've learned, at least there's reports that now that it wasn't just one woodcutter, there may have been other woodcutters that also saw her. And again, sort of in a frustrating way, they didn't have any information, at least that we know of, that really helped figure out what happened to her. Just the fact that they saw her camping with her SUV there. It was near Ashfork, Arizona. That was around September 30th when the report from the one woodcutter came in. I don't know the exact time frame for the other woodcutters who saw her, but I think she probably kind of stood out in that area. I don't think that there were other people camping around. So I think when they saw her, camping gear and her SUV there, it's something that they remembered and then were able to report to the police.
Have police, the family, the private investigator searched on foot? Have they taken dogs out to the area where her car was seen?
Yeah, they have been out there. I'm not sure about dogs.
Yeah, woodcutter is essentially like a logger. They do a lot of logging out in those forests. There's a lot of big trees out there. So they'll go out. They may get a lease to go out and clear the land, and they'll be out cutting wood, firewood, lumber. That's essentially what their jobs are. If you've ever watched Fire in the Sky, that's the Travis Walton story about the guy that gets taken by the UFO. They were woodcutters. They were lumberjacks. I want to say that it happened out in that area. Hang on. I think that happened out in that area. Whoa, man, that'll be weird. And it's funny because in the police report, if you read it, they actually talk about putting aside people that had called in about aliens. I want to say that story happened. Oh, maybe was that Seattle? Could have been Seattle, but I could have swore it was Arizona. Hang on. I'm probably wrong. It's either Seattle or no, it was Arizona. I think it was Arizona. He was Travis Walton, alleged alien abduction by an American forestry worker. Travis Walton on November 5th, 1975. He's part of a logging crew in the Alpaca National Forest in Heber, Arizona. I don't even know where that is. Where's Heber, Arizona? I'm way off topic here, but I could have sworn, and that's probably why they got calls. Because if you saw the report, it said Heber, Arizona. Let's see how far it was from where. It's actually not that far. Wow, that's strange. I mean, I'm not even going to go there with that, but it is kind of weird. Let me show you on the map. So here's essentially here, and Chelsea is right. Her incident is here. Look at this. That's probably why they got calls. That's exactly why they got calls, because of what happened with Travis Walton. I guarantee you, because they said on the report, if you read the police report, they said aliens, aside alien encounters, reports of aliens. Isn't that crazy? That's really crazy. That's essentially where Travis Walton was abducted. And this is Chelsea's incident up here. Oh, man, that's so strange. What a coincidence, right? I'm not even going there with that. Let's not even put that out there, but I just find it it's weird and it's strange. That's probably why people called in. All right, let's keep playing.
But I know at least 2 of the private investigators have been out there, have been interviewing people. That's how we found out that there was more than one woodcutter who spotted her. But there hasn't really been any significant information to come from that, at least that they're releasing. Again, I know that the police.
What happened is loggers will go in there and they log and they clear out that land, either for landowners, ranch owners, and they take those logs out in lumber and stuff like that. So,
been open to at least one of the private investigators and providing some information to them that isn't necessarily public. So there could be more behind the scenes, but I think if there was something really important that could help push the investigation forward, I would hope the police would have released it by now. And they've just been really, really quiet about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. One thing, Brian, I listened to your interview with the private investigator, and when the two of you talked, he indicated that they had uncovered some clues, but he wasn't able to share at that time specifically what those may be. Has anything come of that in the last few weeks?
Right. We've put everything out pretty much over here. So you all know you've gotten about 95% of the reporting. So we've gotten that out here on LTL.
Update on that front?
No specifics with the new clues. Some of that, I think, was the fact that there were other woodcutters who had seen her. It wasn't just the one, because police released that it was just one initially. But that was really the extent of the new information that we've been able to get. I know that they've been talking to other friends of hers, trying to get a handle more on, what she may have been going through in that moment. I mean, you know how it is with your parents. Like, you sometimes put on, like when you talk to your parents, you try to make it seem like everything's okay sometimes when maybe it's not, and you may, be telling friends.
She was seen there by someone, and she had been there for quite a time. So someone was concerned, so they called the police out to go check on her. That's because she had been sitting there for a while. That's why it was reported and called in. Just want to make sure that she was okay.
Things that you don't want your parents to worry about. So I know that they've been really trying to dig in deep into other people who had talked to Chelsea. But again, none of that has been released at this point, which is kind of what's been frustrating about covering the story. It's like you want, new nuggets to come out to kind of help push the story forward. And it's just kind of been quiet.
There just haven't been. I would think they would probably be looking into like cameras at gas stations in the area. I mean, do we know much about this area? Is it pretty desolate?
It is pretty desolate. There are a couple of gas stations. I was looking at Google Earth, so they're certainly looking at.
It's like, come on. Did you not even pull up Google Earth and look? I mean, you're in the desert, bruh. This is the most laziest reporting I have seen in a long time. I'm sorry, NewsNation, come on. And they got to retract that information about she met with the sister. That never happened. That never happened. You need to retract that. You need to do a correction on your next report on this and say, we are sorry. We are sorry we put that out there. And it's ridiculous.
at
I knew this
cameras.
was
And
gonna happen.
like one thing that I keep thinking about, I mean, police haven't said that they believe there's foul play, which, you know, in other cases they will come out and say that if there's something that they come across. They haven't said that in this case. So I just keep going back to, I think the hope is, and this has happened before, you know, where people have some kind of breakdown and, you know, just sort of disappear for a while. And that's certainly possible in this case. I think that's probably what her parents are clinging on to. But I'm glad we're still
doing. Good thing to know out there. There is water out there, because if you look on Google Earth, they have these things that are called like water tanks, and they're like water retention ponds that that hold water. So there is water out there. You can find water, and there's actually little like airports in little towns and little tenting areas and camping areas. I made a list of just all the camping areas today, and you know, I was just doing this today. I'll show you. It's not like a complete list, but I was just messing around today and just writing. I don't know if I can pull this up. Just writing some. Why is this not showing up? Hang on. Let me bring this up here. I was just. Hang on. Let me take that down. I was just looking at things like that could possibly be out in that area. You know, I was writing all these addresses down. You know, maybe these are areas that people can search. I think going to those windmills, searching out 15 miles, like Steve said, is very important. She might have walked towards those windmills are out there, and I've tried looking for them on the map and I can't find them. So, you know, that might be an area. These might be areas of concern that I would go look at. You know, they're in and around and close to that area. So, you know, these are little campsites and stuff. She could have wandered into there. You know, we don't know. So it would be best to go out and check those as well, too. Okay, let me pull this up. We're going to get through the rest of this, and then probably about another 4 or 5 minutes, we're going to wrap up the show tonight. Early show.
The story because you know, just because there's not some crazy sign of foul play doesn't mean that it's not an important story, and that, you know, there might not be something. There still could be something nefarious that happened here. We just don't know.
Right. And sometimes you have people come forward. I mean, they're adults who go off the grid for their own reasons and will contact law enforcement and say, am I okay? That hasn't happened in this case, which leads her parents to believe that something else has happened, and they're holding out that hope. The Coconino County Sheriff's Department is the one to call. We've got that number. Finally, Brian, how's her family seem to be doing? And it's been a couple of weeks since you spoke with them. We're now more than a month since she was reported missing. How did they seem? Their level of concern right now, just in regards to everything they're facing?
I think, like with other families in this situation, they're clinging on to hope. I mean, you know, every day that she's not found is harder in some ways, but then you still have the hope that, you know, that she's going to be found alive. And you made a really good point. Like in other situations where people have just wanted to go off the grid, sometimes they'll want to stay off the grid, but they will just like show up to a local police department somewhere just to sort of.
Yeah. And there's like tons of little air strips in there too. I mean, she might have walked and convinced someone, hey, can I get her right? You know, I don't know. I mean, anything is a possibility. Anything's a possibility at this point. We still don't know. All right, let's keep playing.
Like let people know, since they know that their story's been on the news. And this one thing that is good is, you know, not a lot of other, I don't really know of any other. Actually, there was one other, I think we're the only network that's really covered the story. There was one other story I saw on one other network quickly. I think because of the bearded dragon, it got some attention. But the good news,
we've been reporting,
does appear to be, like gaining a lot of attention online with, you know, a lot of the people that follow the missing stories and the cyber sleuths and that kind of thing. I've seen a lot on Twitter. So I think that also gives the parents hope that it's not like everybody's just forgetting about Chelsea and, you know, going to stop looking for her. So every time someone shares it online or we do the story, I think that obviously, you know, helps the parents out.
Yeah, it's why we do this. You can see Chelsea's picture on the screen. We'll have this on our website, newsnationnow.com. Brian Entin, thank you as always. It's good to see you. I'm glad that we're covering this case together, and keep us posted. I know you're in touch with the private investigator. And for folks who are watching and listening, if you have any information that can help in the search for Chelsea, you can contact the Coconino County Sheriff's Office. It's in Arizona, 928-774-4523. And so many of our missing.
All right. Well, there you go. So I want to do this. I want to take a little bit of a temperature of the room. If you were to grade this an A, B, C, D, or F, A, B, C, D, or F, type your score on the reporting that the national media is covering on this case right now. I'd love to see what your score would be. What is your score? A, B, C, D, or F? Be honest. A, B, C, D, or F? So we got F, D, C minus. Ooh. F, F plus, F, D, E for effort, because they gave Chelsea's name out, but F for the content accuracy. That's really good. C, D minus, get 1 point for the effort in putting it in. D, Carrie says D. Type your scores. Let's see them. D. John says crap news. Just because C due to the bigger audience. Okay, that's fair. Excuse me. I'll wait to get a couple more in there. Mary says, with some old stuff they did before, only new different thing was the woman reporter and it being on her show. Yeah, and they reported that Chelsea apparently was visiting with her sister, which is completely false. I mean, that's just completely false. That needs to be retracted. That is not true. That did not happen. That really needs to be retracted. And I urge NewsNation to put a retraction about that. It's just not really good. Paula says incomplete assignment, redo, upgradable. All right. I will give it a score of a D. I will give it a D. I will give it a D. At least there was a little bit of effort. We got her picture out there. We got the phone number. I think a lot of lazy journalism in it. And I think they could have done better, and they put some really strong misinformation in there too that needs to be corrected, in my opinion. So, listen, at least it's out there. It's national. We're getting some attention on it, the national news, and I just hope it's not this spot story that they jumped into, did it really quick, and have no intention of going back to it, because I'm going to continue to talk about it. You know that I've made that commitment. And, that's really what it is. And Chelsea, I keep saying Chelsea because I see Carrie. Carrie says, what grade would you give LTL? Now you asked that. I didn't ask it. Barry says, yeah, that's why I gave it a C minus. At least more people are aware, but it is crap compared to LTL. Thank you so much. 100% more here. Covered spot on. LTL equals A. Thank you. Kelly's given an A plus. Vanessa says lazy is an understatement. LTL podcast has the true facts. Yes, I have to believe that. And Bitchy Bookworm says NewsNation is turning into MSM. Lady Law is saying A++. Vanessa says A+. Thank you so much. I need everybody to do me a huge favor if you have not. I am about 35 people away from reaching the goal that I want to get to on my second channel. I have things planned for that second channel, but I need to get to that goal. If you have not subscribed, please click on the link below, take 2 seconds, go over, subscribe to my second channel, because we're going to get that going over there. I have some different things planned for on that channel. So please make sure to subscribe. I need to get to 500 subscribers. That's it. 500. Right now I'm actively, I think I'm at 466. 468. So we're getting closer. 468. Please go over and subscribe. You get your dummy counts, whatever you need to do. Subscribe over there. Let's get that channel to 500 subscribers. I would appreciate it. And I'm sure probably a lot of you are already subscribed. If you're not, and your first time over here, please go over and subscribe to LTL True Crime Podcast Rewind. And that is the link. And I will drop it. We're going to stick to the police reports. We're going to stick to my reporting over here. I understand that people like the paranormal, and they like mediums and all that stuff. Not going to find that material here on LTL True Crime Podcast. Sorry. we're going to stick with the police report. But thank you for putting that out there. But we stick to, you know, that's what we stick to here. We stick to the police report. Oh, wow. Look at this. Barry says, Danello's court date for tomorrow was postponed. He is due for about 20 felonies, just an FYI, from a child of the Cavalcante. Yes, from the Cavalcante. I appreciate that. F minus, Kelly says. But yeah, we tend to stick to the police report. I don't get into the tarot card readings and all that. I mean, just it's not my cup of tea. It's cool that people do that. If that helps with their channel, thumbs up. But we stick to police reports and that type of material here. So yeah, again, if you haven't subscribed, second channel, please. I'm going to bounce that link again. Be really great if you can go over there and do that. We're just trying to reach our goal of 500 subscribers. We're at 473 right now. What, 24, 26, 27 more away, and we're going to be there. We're going to be there. And yes, Kelly has the corn. Kelly has the can of corn. Okay. We're going to wrap this one up. I appreciate everybody being here. I will be off tomorrow night, back here probably Saturday and Sunday night. I will come up with something. Maybe I'm teasing it. Maybe we do a little Idaho. There's been some new updates, so maybe we'll do that Saturday or Sunday. I'll think about it, but there have been some new updates. I did see some new reporting. Maybe we can get into some of that as well. If not, we'll look around and see what other true cases out there. I haven't done a true crime across America story in a while, so maybe there's a couple stories I can dig up. We can do a segment like that. So I appreciate everybody again tonight for there's an active shooter in Ohio. What's going on? Well, I see a false active shooter a day ago. Colorado is saying one not with us anymore after shooting suspect down in El Paso County. I don't see anything else. Active shooter, Ohio Mall. I just see a report on August 28th. I don't see anything right now. Is anything on Twitter? I just see a lot of protesting. That Palestinian and Gaza protests are just getting nuts. I stay away from that. I'm not going to get into that. Mentor, Ohio. Let's take a look. Aha. It says, let's look at it really quick. Let's pull it up. I don't think it's active anymore. 3 gone and 1 injured in shooting in Mentor Mobile Home Park. Suspected shooter did it in. It's all over. Sorry. See you later. You did it in. It's not active anymore. So we solved that case. All right. We're going to bounce out. I appreciate everybody for coming in. If you haven't, again, I'm going to be really bothersome about this. Go over and subscribe. LTL True Crime Rewind. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers, and we're going to do some different stuff over there on that channel. I think I'm going to rebrand the channel name. It will probably stay True Crime, but we're going to get interesting. I will say this too. I'm starting to experiment in my videos with some AI voices. If you didn't see, I dropped a video the other day. I introduced my new AI assistant, Agent Chase. And that's a little bit of a, tip of the cap to Laura that used to come on my show. And I wanted to do a little tip of the cap to her. So I have the AI we're going to start using. I may develop a little character. I don't know. We'll see where we take it, but I think it's cool. It cuts down a lot of time from me doing the narration because I can just essentially type it and program it in, cut the video up instead of me literally sitting here trying to do a 3-minute intro and take 8 hours to record it. because I'm just not good at like recording videos. Go live, I can do it. But I'm trying to record a video, it's disastrous. So I think it's kind of neat. I think it's fresh. No one's doing it. No one's doing it on the true crime. And I think that we can do something with it. But again, I want to welcome everybody in. Thank you for being here. Please go over, subscribe to, let's see, I cannot subscribe. Link isn't working, but send a Venmo instead. All right, let me take a look. I did not see your Venmo. I apologize about that. Thank you so much, Vanessa. I appreciate it for your Venmo. Thank you so much. I didn't see that come through. And again, if anybody wants to donate or become a member, you can. You go down there and click the join button. That's the best way that you can support this channel, because when you join and become a member, you get access to all my members only live and members only content. And my memberships literally start at $1.99. And that is a monthly support where it'll just trickle in into the tip cup for LTL, and it keeps this channel going. And also there's super chat options as well. And there's Venmo and PayPal and all that fun stuff. So, I do appreciate it. I appreciate the support. We're trying to grow this channel. I want to make it big. And I have some plans to eventually find a rented space, get this out of my bedroom, set up a nice little space in there where it can be, the LTL home and really, feel, not that this doesn't feel home. I mean, this is my home. It's taking up a spot in my bedroom. Literally, my bed is right there. But it would be nice to get out of here because I have to be a little bit quieter at this time of night for my neighbors, but I could be loud and I talk loud anyway. But it would be nice to just have my own space and make as much noise as I want and not have to worry about my neighbors. So again, thank you all for being here tonight. I appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel and then go over and subscribe to my second channel. I'll drop the link one more time. I'm sorry, I'm being very selfish about that. I'll see you guys soon. I'm going to be off tomorrow night, most likely. Maybe I pop up late and do a late night members only. And again, if you want to join those members only, go down and join as a member. And you can, my memberships, again, they start at $1.99. It's less than a Starbucks coffee. What does Starbucks coffee cost now? $7-8 a month. $7-8 a cup. So please subscribe, become a member, get members only access to all those benefits. And I appreciate it. So I will see you guys next time. Everybody have an amazing night and be well. Take care. And we'll keep fighting for Chelsea. Throw those yellow hearts up on the way out. I want to see them. Thank you so much. Have a good night.